The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah! Go Cowboys!
This is Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw Dating, preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now, your hosts, Christy Scales, Aisha Morrison, Nicole Hutchison, and Jess Navarez.
Cowboys Nation, happy Thursday. Welcome back into Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm Nicole Hutchison, live to you here in Oxnard, California. We got Christy Scales also live in Oxnard as well. We got the other ladies back in studio, Aisha Morrison and Jess Navarez. And we have some things to talk about. I'd like to say as Chris Beam, our very own producer in the field. He said it's the pregame before the pregame, before the actual game on Saturday with the Raiders. But now we've got some news, obviously, with the Cowboys beefing up that defense. We'll start there with the trade that happened yesterday. It wasn't finalized until late last night. Jordan Phillips, who was formerly with the Buffalo Bills, defensive tackle there, that trade. Now the Cowboys actually they swapped it for a 7th-round pick in 2026 and also the New York Jets for a 2026 7th-round pick as well. But I'll start with you, Christy. What does that trade first? Before we get to Jordan Phillips, what does that trade mean?
Well, it means that when Stephen Jones says that talent acquisition is 365 days a year, he's correct, including 3 weeks into camp. Mm-hmm. And, you know, sometimes it's not a trickle. Sometimes it's like a fire hose, and that's what's happened over the last 48 hours here. And, roster moves, you have to clear the spots, too. And I think it means that they're looking for more beef along the defensive line. And Jordan Phillips, a veteran, last time I saw him, he was putting Dak on his backside when the Cowboys were playing at Buffalo. So I like it. I think Mike Zimmer is happy because you get a guy who 6'6", 341 pounds with a style of play. You want guys like Phillips. You want guys like Mazy, your interior linemen, to eat up those offensive linemen and keep your linebackers clear and take on those blocks. And so I like the move.
Aisha, what about you?
I think you just see, what the preseason is for. And, the Cowboys, they have a lot of confidence in their roster. They have a lot of confidence in how they draft. And, they looked at that preseason game, looked at the DTs, and said, we have the ability to make this room better or to change some things. So I think that this is just, ties into the consistent evaluation, like Christy said, and that them seeing the need for what it was, not seeing just enough from that DT room and feeling like they needed to go out and get a guy that, maybe is trying to look for a home for a little while. So we'll see how it works out.
Jess?
Yeah, you cannot ever have enough DT depth, period. So to me, what it says is they're bulking up that DT room, finally, which you really needed. And it also gives a guy like Mazy Smith another veteran to kind of lean on and learn from, very much so like you saw from Jonathan Hankins last year. You kind of get a repeat of that from Jordan Phillips. So I'm really excited to see kind of what he teaches Mazy and how, Mazy can really lean on him and learn from him, whether it be in practice or during the game, kind of going back to him how to handle certain situations. But overall, I also like the grittiness. I love a good personality, if you will, on the field, baby. And he has plenty of it. So it was not fine when you were on the other side of it, but seeing that he's wearing a star on his helmet, he can do this all he wants now. So that's great.
Yeah, something I wanted to ask you ladies is what message does this send to Mazy, someone who, has had his ups and downs here in training camp so far? Chrissy, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think that fans and maybe even some media that aren't super close to the situation might see this an indictment of Mazy or, they're sending him a signal. This is about providing depth. This is about providing veteran experience. Is Mazy where he needs to be in his career yet? Hey, he's forging a path ahead, and he's getting plenty of reps here. He's getting his time in preseason, but this is not an indictment of what they've seen so far with Mazy. Aisha and Jess, Nicole, you're all right. You can't have enough depth along the defensive line, and it's hard to find these defensive tackles. They had signed Carl Davis, a veteran free agent, and he was released last night to make room for two new guys coming in. We'll talk about Carl Lawson in just a little bit, but I like the fact that not only is this adding depth, I really like the experience, because this guy this will be his 10th year in the league, and has a lot of knowledge to share. And you're not having to teach him like a new system. He can step right in. The other thing is, by acquiring him in a trade with the Giants, he's actually been in a camp. It's not like Carl Lawson, the other guy who's coming in, a defensive end who kind of needs to ramp up because he's been a free agent on the street. I think that Jordan Phillips should be able to hit the ground running. Now, don't look for either of these guys Saturday night in Las Vegas, because they literally, one of them's going to get here tonight, the other one's going to get here tomorrow. So, it's going to be like introducing themselves to their teammates and to their coaches. So don't look for either of them to play on Saturday. But again, I like the moves.
Aisha?
Yeah, I mean, the original question was, what message does this send to Mazy? And I don't think it necessarily sends a message to Mazy, and I say that because I know, Nicole, you said we were going to get into it, but when you talk about the player and Jordan Phillips and some of the things that he's able to do, you look at the depth at DT at 3 Tech and behind Oso Digizua, and you don't really have much there that's proven. But then also too, you look at the 1 spot, and Jordan Phillips is unique in the aspect that he has the size of a 1 Tech. He can hold double teams. He can do those things, but he also has a little bit of explosiveness and twitch as a pass rusher. He has the ability, the lateral quickness, some of the things he does with his hands. He has a pretty decent motor. So this is also too, not just for the 1 Tech position. They did need to beef up there. They did need a veteran there. They never replaced Jonathan Hankins in that aspect, and we were sick about it. So it kind of shores up that, but then it also gives you a little bit of insurance on the 3 Tech side of things to maybe get some pass rush out of him, or even so schematically, like people are going to honor the fact that he can rush the passer. Some DTs, they're like, people know like, oh, he's just going to hold up double teams for other guys to run free. No, when other teams go against him, they're going to have to consider that he can not only do that, but he can also slip through tackles and be able to get to the quarterback. So for me, you talk about the mentorship, Jess, and some of the things that he might be able to teach Mazy, but I also think he's a good addition to maybe some of the things we're looking at from a pass rush perspective for that interior defensive line as well.
Jess?
Yeah, and as far as what message it sends to Mazy, it's not, when you go look on the depth chart, Mazy's still your number 1 nose tackle on your depth chart. So it's not like it's taking anything away from Mazy. If anything, in the meantime, what you could do is you could kind of play him in rotation with Mazy. And, until Mazy feels comfortable and ramped up enough, getting more of those reps coming off the shoulder injury, maybe putting on a little bit more weight, it could take, metaphorically weight off of Mazy's shoulders at this point to feel like he doesn't need to hurry his process so much, but he can take his time in getting back to his basics and really refining them. And a veteran guy like Jordan Phillips, kind of acting as that mentor to him could really go a long way. But what I did notice is when I was kind of peeking into Jordan Phillips and the kind of camp he was having with the Giants, it wasn't great. And that's because you had a Dexter Lawrence that was really getting the attention.
There's a lot of depth in their DT room.
Right. And so it was unfortunate for him because he wasn't getting, the positive attention, but I think he makes a great addition to the Cowboys, and that's not going to be the case because it's a different role for him where he is needed in this DT room because you don't have that depth that the Giants have right now. You don't have the young explosive guy that you want yet. Keyword on that yet, because I fully believe Mazy's on the up and up. So overall, Nicole, to answer your question, I really don't think it sends any kind of negative message to Mazy, and it's definitely not putting him on notice in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it's just reaffirming that they're trying to build Mazy, and how do you do that? You get a veteran in there to help him not only build the confidence, but give him the little key tricks of what it is to be a veteran player and how to continue the longevity of that in this league.
Well, when you talk about what Mazy can learn, who Mazy can possibly learn from, you've got to also add the Cowboys' new signing as well, defensive end Carl Lawson. And he was also a part of that workout group that came in with Shaka Tony and Al-Qadim Muhammad that the Cowboys signed last week or a couple of weeks ago in training camp. And when you talk about Carl Lawson, this signing as well, and Jordan Phillips, do you guys feel that, after seeing that joint practice, we'll break down joint practice as well later in the segments, but do y'all feel that after seeing Wednesday's practice with the Rams, that the Cowboys prioritize that defensive line and needing to obviously beef it up a little bit more? Aisha, I'll start with you this time.
I mean, listen, ladies, y'all are there. But the way I was looking at practice, it looked like a defensive practice. You ladies can tell us, it felt like the offenses on both sides were having some trouble. The offensive lines were having some trouble getting things going. Both sides found some success, but the defenses really came to play. Is that the vibe that y'all got the other day?
What it seemed like.
Out there?
Yeah. Yeah,
I think that's more than fair. Yes.
Okay, I just
think
want
the
to
defense,
ask.
because the previous week would have mostly given it to the offense,
sure.
but
Yeah,
much better by both defenses yesterday.
Okay, thank you so much. Because I'm here, so I'm trying my best.
We can see what we can see.
But as far as to answer your question, I think the Cowboys just see that this was a need. The loss of Sam Williams. You had Al-Qadim Muhammad come in, which I think that he's going to be able to bring some things to this edge room and the run game specifically. But it's just you need a good rotation of guys, because when you start getting late into the playoffs and guys' legs start getting tired and stuff, you need fresh pass rushers. And so I was looking at the fact that to me it feels like they're just kind of plugging these holes, just putting themselves in a better position going into the season. And I feel far better about where this defensive line specifically is with those two additions moving forward right now. So I just think that they're doing quite frankly, what they're supposed to be doing. And hopefully putting this team in position to be okay when the season starts. My bad, y'all.
Yeah. Jess, I'll go with you.
Which one?
Oh,
You're Jess.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, you're good. I just want to make sure we're getting better at this whole rotation thing. Can't wait for you guys to get back. But to answer your question, having more depth, again, it's nothing we're going to sit here and complain about, right? And when you're getting veteran players who understand what it is to be in game time situations, and you have extra insurance for younger guys, like Mazy, like Nealon. I mean, you need that kind of insurance for these younger guys just in case, and that's no knock to them. They're on track to earning those positions. However, you do want that rotation in really the lineup. And so when I was looking at Carl Lawson, what I did notice is, man, if you can get this guy to shore up tackles specifically on the edge, this guy can do some work with those hands. Aisha, I was thinking of you while I was watching him, because his hands, huge.
Yeah.
First of all, big hands. And what I did notice, too, is he did come off of a torn Achilles in 2021. And then the following year, it's like the man didn't even have a torn Achilles. I mean, 2022, played 17 games, had 33 total tackles, 7 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and then 4.5 stuffs. The following year, 2023, he only played in 6 games and had 5 total tackles. So to me, this kind of seems like a player that's inching to make that comeback year as well. So when you have to prove it, this is a good position for somebody like him to come back in and really be part of.
Christy, before you go, Christy, I want to ask you, when you talk about Carl Lawson specifically, this team, and you're big on special teams. I know that's your bread and butter. So the loss of Dorrance Armstrong seems like it's been a little discounted, but what he did on special teams for this team was monumental. Do you see, someone like a Carl Lawson or a Al-Qadim Muhammad being a guy that kind of fills that role for Dorrance on special teams, or do you see someone else? I'm sorry, Nicole. I hope I didn't interrupt you.
No, you're
No,
good.
I hope to have a better answer for those two specific players. Didn't get a chance to talk to John Fossil, the special teams coordinator, after practice today about these specific players. But I think you're exactly, hit the nail on the head, Aisha, because we've talked in this podcast before about how the body types are going to be changing a little bit, specifically with the kickoff coverage, with that tighter set, closer combat, so to speak, than the running head starts. But also Dorrance Armstrong reminds me of this, and even more Dante Fowler. A few years ago when the Cowboys signed him, you've lost Fowler, you've lost Armstrong in free agency this past offseason. So bringing in the Carl Lawson type, it's going to be part of that rotation, because it's just like when you were talking just a moment ago, Aisha, it's a rotation. You're bringing these guys in waves. You're keeping them fresh and in the second half and coming in the fourth quarter. So that's how I see Lawson.
Yes, ma'am.
And Jess, you're absolutely right about his production. And if it weren't for those injuries, in addition to that Achilles injury, he had that torn ACL his second year. He's a fourth-round pick of the Bengals. And when he came in, he was on the all-rookie team. He played all the games. He had 9.5 sacks. I mean, this guy was on fire, and then missed the next season with the injury. So when he's healthy, when he's on the field, he is productive in the pass rush. We'll find out about teams. I'll talk to Fossil specifically about that. But again, just like Jordan Phillips, I really like this because it's not veteran depth. It's not just the experience, it's production. And that's the main thing that you're looking for.
Yeah, both of these guys have been injured.
Yeah.
Both these guys have had some injuries that have kind of derailed things. Because even when I looked at, when I was looking at Jordan Phillips yesterday and looking at some of his film, you look at some of the things he did. I mean, you guys earlier you mentioned it, Christy is just he kicked our ass, and he had that. Yeah. He had several games like that last year, and so he dealt with he had a wrist surgery last year that put him on IR, and that's where he finished his season. But every game you saw him just kind of making plays and doing some things in the backfield, and it was like, okay, this guy's trending up. And then he had the wrist injury. So both of these gentlemen, to you ladies' point, are trying to make a comeback and find a bit of a home and settle in somewhere. So let's see.
Yeah, Nicole, real quick too, I want to throw in there, kind of back to Christy's point, is you want guys that are going to not only be productive, but plug-and-play players as well, that are in football shape, and that understand what it is to go right into the game. You don't necessarily need a ramp up. You don't necessarily need to sit there and spend extra time teaching them because they're younger and newer. No, these are guys that can come into Zim's system and pick it up fairly quickly. So it's not, I'm not betting on seeing them play in preseason, but I am saying, like, as far as a system goes, you're not going to have to worry about them kind of stalling behind and learning that.
Yeah, and that system, by the way, so when we mentioned Carl Lawson being at Cincinnati, so when he came in, Paul Gunther, who came to the Cowboys staff this year, defensive staff, as the defensive run coordinator, working with Mike Zimmer, he was Lawson's defensive coordinator. So there's product knowledge there both ways. The coaching staff, the coach about the player, but also the player with a little bit more familiarity with the system.
Thank you for that,
Well,
Christy.
you guys talked about those guys being plug-and-play players on the defensive line. Well, how about the offensive line, specifically the left tackle position? We'll talk about that depth coming up, and the huge injury that the Cowboys endured yesterday in camp. We'll talk about that coming up in the next break.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey's sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
Cowboys Nation 2024 Dallas Cowboys training camp presented by American Airlines is here. Head to sunny Oxnard, California from now through August 21st to watch the team practice. Admission is free. For more information, you can visit dallascowboys.com/training camp. I would love to be out in sunny Oxnard, California. Ladies, how has the weather been over there? Because you're really not missing much over here.
Hot.
It's hot.
It is beaming over here, y'all.
Nah.
Yeah, it's.
I'm not
Are
gonna
you
lie.
saying it's beaming because of Chris
50
Beam
kind
over
of
there
weather.
with you? Because that's
That's it. It is
that
Chris
is what it
beaming
is.
here
No, it's
in the
beaming
tennis courts.
because the sun is beaming. That was actually kind of good, though.
I know. Look,
I'm good.
you guys missed it.
Chris is shaking his head. He's
I'm
like,
shaking
ah.
mine too,
Did he
Chris.
know where that came from? I hope he knew that it came
No.
straight from the noggin, like right on the spot. Just for
There
you,
we go.
Chris.
God.
That's all.
Goodness. Lord. Aisha just said she's shaking her head. There's a lot of shaking heads over here because of the Cowboys taking a hit to the offensive line. Well, the depth of the offensive line, specifically left tackle. I know, you see what I did there?
I did. I did.
That deserves a ding,
It
Jazzy.
did. It did.
Thank you.
Everybody
Thank
can
you.
see it.
Earl Bostick actually... sorry, the delay. I'm sorry, Aisha. My bad. Keep going.
bad.
No, she was just ragging on you for your
You were
amazing
saying
pun.
something.
That's all.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. See, gotta give her credit where credit is due.
Anytime,
But no,
sis.
Earl Bostick, obviously, he went down in practice, in joint practice with the Rams on Wednesday. They're saying that it could be ankle, but right now it's just a lower leg injury for now. Just be on the lookout for specific reports coming up probably the next couple of days. But he is heading back to Dallas to get surgery. But now I think it's actually kind of crazy because, I kind of asked McCarthy about the depth position at left tackle, and, Earl Bostick was supposed to be the guy behind Awesome Richards, and now you take that huge blow. You saw Josh Ball taking some first-team reps at left tackle. Christy, I'll start with you. What did you see in practice yesterday? You also saw him today taking left tackle reps as well.
Yeah, so Tyler Guyton got some work with first team, but Josh Ball got most of it because I don't know how much of Tyler Guyton, how many reps he'll get in the game moving forward. So get ready for a lot of Josh Ball. Now, this is a fourth-year player who he's in his fourth year now, but 2 of the 3 years he's been in Dallas, he's been on injured reserve. His second season, he played 13 games, but very little on offense. It was mostly special teams going out for field goals and extra points and the like. But Josh had worked mainly earlier in his career as a tackle, had been moved to guard, worked almost exclusively at right guard until 2 days ago. And now he's not at right tackle where he had done a lot of work before, but now he's at left tackle. So I talked to him after practice, Nicole, and I said, you're being bopped around like a ping pong ball these last couple days. Is it frustrating, or how do you view it? And he's like, no, you have to see it as an opportunity. And certainly things change a lot going from right guard to left tackle in terms of your pass set. And he talked about the importance of communication because he'll be working next to some younger guys. Awesome Richards was getting a lot of work at left guard today. And so communication is going to be so key in these games because you don't see as much of the stunts and trick things going on between the defensive linemen. They call tackle and end stunts, where they try and game the guards and the offensive tackles. But, Josh is basically having a great attitude about this, but it's a very tough thing to go from the crowded position and smaller, tight space of right guard, and now you're the blindside blocker. But this is a golden opportunity for him because, frankly, he has been buried on the depth chart, and I don't think Edoga and Bostic are going to be coming back anytime soon. Edoga with a dislocated toe, so I think it's going to be between Ball and Willetsko and Awesome Richards as to swing tackle moving forward, beyond just getting through these games. So let's see if Josh Ball is able to take advantage of these opportunities, because he's been fighting for the opportunity, and now he has a golden one in front of him.
Aisha? I know you didn't get a chance to, you're not here, but typically, what's your response to, I know, Aisha?
I'm having to pat her on the
Josh
back
Ball
right
playing
now.
left tackle.
Christy, you have a heart. You have a heart of gold.
Zen.
You are so sweet, so kind, and beautiful. This is scaring me, baby. One time I got therapy tomorrow. I'm gonna talk to my therapist about it real quick. This swing tackle situation.
She's stressed. I'm telling you.
Cause y'all know,
you didn't see her breathing over
Therapy
here.
is crazy for this.
Listen,
She's
sometimes
stressed, sis.
you don't know. You don't have a backup left tackle right now. I mean, you kind of do, but he played left guard, and you ain't trying to have to do that.
That's right.
And that just would change so many things. But I also too, in regard to the tackle depth, Nathan Thomas out of Louisiana is a gentleman that I have been looking for. It sounds like he is dealing with the injury per Mike McCarthy yesterday. It's been pretty undisclosed. Do either one of you ladies have an update on Nathan Thomas that you can give us?
No, he didn't practice. He's missed all week. He's missed all week.
And
yeah. So you're right about that.
Yeah, and it's
And
yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
the player that they signed, they brought in Cohl Cabral, who has been in the USFL with Birmingham Stallions, UFL Michigan Panthers, and bumped around the league a little bit, a few different stops in the NFL, not able to catch on. But he's a center guard, not an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
So I think what bothers me the most about this whole thing, because you talk about, struggles at tackle when you take third-string guys and now they're maybe starting a game or playing the majority of the game, is it's really difficult to get a gauge on your quarterback.
I agree.
And your offense. So that's what really bothers me about this is and when you get to the second half, especially of these preseason games, especially the last one, for these quarterbacks, it is like herding cats. You've got guys who have just come into the team or guys that are playing out a position, and yet you still have to make it work, and you're ultimately judged on moving the ball and getting it in the end zone. So this is just one more kind of little monkey wrench that goes into the evaluation of Trey Lance and the offense when you have all of these moving parts and guys like Josh moving from right guard and, 48 hours later now he's blindside.
I mean, if
Jess?
you want something on the positive, it's for now. Like, here's the thing. When come regular season, your guy's Tyler Guyton, period. Like, and that doesn't help the depth. That doesn't, secure anything. But you have time in between now and then. It's not like this is happening, 2 weeks from now where I would really be even more concerned at how quickly the season is coming around. What I worry about is going into preseason games, these guys are fighting for roster spots. It's a full force battle for who is trying to show out and prove themselves. What I worry about the most is somebody coming around in that blind spot and Cooper Rush or Trey Lance feeling the, repercussions of having a left tackle that's not shirred up in these preseason games, because that's what I worry about, especially being on your blind side there. But, when I was looking up Cohl, it also doesn't help he's never actually played a regular season game. Undrafted free agent. What I looked at is a little sluggish. He's a little sluggish. He has, some leverage, but overall it's just he's not a plug-and-play player. He's not a depth player that you can count on to be good, productive depth, like we were just talking about in the last segment. He's a player that is going to need some additional time and really getting into a left tackle position at that. So I was a little interested to see that this was kind of the signing that they decided to go with.
Yeah, good college.
Christy
tape.
said it actually real nice, but just keeping it a stack, what I saw was Josh Ball getting cooked by Nealon, multiple reps, especially today. But, I mean, do y'all feel that y'all rather have these kind of concerns now rather than later in the season where you're having these issues of, not really knowing if that left tackle position is short up? Hopefully nothing happens to Tyler Guyton, of course.
At all.
But if you're talking about that depth, right? Yeah, you don't want these concerns at all.
Yeah,
but
this is the time of year.
Now.
That's why we have camp in preseason.
Yes.
It's why we have camp in preseason. And guess what? 31 other teams are going through the same thing. And by the way, there aren't 5 good starting linemen for 32 full teams, much less second and third string guys. So let's be honest about it.
I do have one gripe,
we kind of
though.
become a little myopic and worry about Cowboys, but this is something that is across the league. And I think we will see Austin Richards get some work at left tackle.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Exclusively
That's
Ball.
really your best
Richards
bet
will get
at
some,
this point.
but Ball will get some too. So. Or lied, I think. And we were actually having this conversation. So, Nicole, I'm going to ask you. Yes, Tyler Guyton needs work. We know he does. Do you put him out there with the starters in these last 2 preseason games,
Absolutely
or do you
not.
rest him with
Nope.
Dak and Zeke and the other guys?
No, I think for now with the where you are right now with this left tackle position, you sit him to the side because you don't want to risk any injuries because we've obviously seen a lot of injuries happen so far throughout the preseason, and not just like you mentioned with the Cowboys, it's happened all over the league. So I think that maybe if you just want to give him those reps, maybe one series against the Raiders to start, and then you put in Josh Ball, or maybe you put in Austin Richards just to see how he kind of handles that left tackle position, because we saw that last week against the Rams. So, I think that you only play him limited reps because you do not want to risk an injury. What about you, Aisha?
I think he's not going to get anything better than what he gets in practice going against the Micah Parsons and those guys. I think you just preserve him like that. But I wanted to go back to the original point about the left tackle position and everything. Number one, I want to say I think they thought Nathan Thomas would be that guy, that backup guy. And because he's a draft pick, no? Right? Yes? 7th round? Yeah, he's a draft pick.
That's right.
So he has some stock in these streets. It doesn't matter if that he's a seventh round pick. He still is someone that they used a draft pick on. So I think they were looking for him to be the backup. But I will say, hey, man, I ain't telling nobody how to do their job. I ain't telling everybody their business. But if a guy is a tackle, let him be a tackle. Now, I get it. Like, I understand that we want these guys to have versatility and things like that. But Austin Richards, even though I understand that he seems comfortable at left guard, you don't have depth at tackle.
Yeah.
That's what's baffling me is everybody is, because even with Nathan Thomas, they've been working him at left guard.
Yeah.
Are we looking at the same depth chart of tackles? Like, I understand that some guys, and this just seems like it's happening more across the league, is like you see a guy at left tackle through college, and then all of a sudden you look up, he's at left guard. It works out sometimes. It clearly worked out for Tyler Smith. But at the same token, it's like everybody can't be no move around piece.
There's also growing pains that go within that too.
Yeah, and it just seems like I just feel like we're allocating so much to the interior. The interior of this offensive line has more depth than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Everybody can be a swing guard at this point or something like that. And it's like you have almost a wealth of interior guys and a TJ Bass and a Cooper Beebe at this point. Like, and then Austin Richards doing left guard things too. But you are neglecting the tackle position. Who right now is Terrence Steele's backup? Right now. Somebody that shouldn't be starting.
Let's go.
That's what I said. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So this is upsetting my spirit because it feels a little it's confusing me why we just allocate so many bodies to the interior, and then the guys on the outside are not proven, none of them are. So why not invest in that side? So I'm off my box, but that is
a great
upsetting
box.
my spirit.
Nicole,
Yeah, I have a pet peeve. I have a pet peeve, guys, and that is 53 people on the roster, but 48 active on game day. You have these inactives. They get paid the same.
Yeah.
And if you have 10 offensive linemen on your 53, if they could all be active on game day, or if you didn't have to sit in any of your defensive backs or your linebackers or whatever, then if you have all of your offensive linemen available, then you could send in a guy who actually practices at tackle or someone who practices at guard and not one of these plug-and-play guys that, you're not having to take a backup right guard and put him at left tackle. But that's a different soapbox for a different day, but it drives me crazy.
Why is it that, I'm sorry, I got to have the soapbox, y'all, but why is it that the Cowboys, and I'm going to start with you, Christy, with this one because I want to know, why is it that the Cowboys want so much versatility within that offensive line, and rather than, I guess because they don't draft,
because you have 8 guys active on game day.
It's a fantastic question.
By virtue of it, they have to be able to do different things.
Yeah.
So it's just the way it is. It's just like if you're a backup wide receiver, you say, oh, you play one position, wide receiver. There are different wide receiver positions.
Yep.
X, slot, Z. You have to be able to do it all. So that's why I say if all of your guys were able to be active on game day, that might mitigate some of it. But it's just the fact that, you have 3 of your positions, game day roster, your specialist, your punter, your kicker, and your deep snapper, and everything else, you've got to be utilitarian. And but unfortunately, instead of master of one thing, you end up being a jack of all trades. And I think sometimes you lose a little bit of quality when you have that approach, but it's just out of necessity with the way the rules are set for the roster.
Nicole, can I soapbox real quick?
We have to take our second break.
Nicole. We'll do it when I come back.
Go ahead. You got 2 seconds.
All I want to say.
All right, we're going to take our second break, y'all.
There you go. We're taking our second break. It's all good.
Go ahead, Jess.
I'll say it when we come back. It'll keep them in suspense.
Okay. We'll be right back.
The Dickey family always mandated that the only Polish-style sausage worthy of their restaurant must have high-quality coarse ground beef and pork, rich spices, and fresh natural casings. We still serve it to this day, and it's so popular, Dickey sausage has been named the official sausage of the Dallas Cowboys. The perfect matchup on game day. Dickey's Barbecue Pit. No one outsmokes us. Order at dickeys.com. For groups, call 866-BARBECUE.
Dibs on the ribs.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
At Jigsaw Dating, we obviously want the Cowboys to bring that 6th ring home. But to be honest, we're more focused on finding the person who will put a ring on your finger. That's why we created a dating app that reveals your face through meaningful conversation, so you can date deeper. Because it's personality that matters the most, not looks. Join Jigsaw Dating today, dating partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Gear up for the 2024 NFL season with official Dallas Cowboys gear. Head to a pro shop near you or log on to shop.dallascowboys.com. A Fanatics experience and score jerseys, tees, headwear, and more. Nicole.
We got a little bit of Christy's classroom. See what I did there? Oh, yeah, coming to you right now on our last segment because the game against the Raiders will be used to see how this new technology works around the NFL. It'll be used to determine first down measurements virtually instead of using the chains. Christy, go ahead and break it down for us.
Well, it's called the virtual measurement system, and as Nicole says, preseason is a time to experiment with new technologies. Now, this is not for the coming regular season. They're using 3 games this weekend as they used 3 games last weekend around the NFL for this. So the Cowboys play in Vegas. It's a 9 o'clock Central kickoff, and so at some point, even if it doesn't happen organically in the game, we will see the VMS. So what it is, it's for down and distance. As you know, the chain gangs, those guys with the orange sticks, and that's how you know down and distance, whether you get a first down or not. Well, this VMS system, it's a Hawkeye technology. Sony is involved with this now with the NFL. There are 6 cameras, 6 4K cameras that can be used, and just within a second, it'll know exactly where a ball is spotted by the officials. So the officials will spot the ball after the play, and they'll be able to know within a second as to whether or not it would be a first down, because let's say you have the ball and you need to get to the 35-yard line to get a first down. The people in the stands can look up on the video board. The people at home, it'll be generated through the broadcast truck on the television, and you'll be able to see exactly where the ball is spotted in relation to the down and distance. Why are they doing this? They are doing this because ultimately someday they want to replace the chain gang. They want to take away the, on average, 40 seconds that it takes for the chain gang to run out and measure a first down. So 2 things. They're trying to speed up the process of the game, eliminate the chain gang. Secondly, Sony, it's a partnership, whiz-bang technology. We're so cool. We want to show off this technology, so that's part of it as well. So are we eliminating the chain gang? Not yet. Eventually, maybe years from now, possibly. But this is very similar technology. Actually, it's the same technology that tennis uses to rule whether a ball is in or out. And it's the same that's used, the VAR, the video assistant on the replays, as to whether a ball is crossed, to be a goal or not a goal. So it's basically the same thing that now the NFL is using. They used it in the XFL and the like. But anyway, the Cowboys are one of the test games this weekend, and I'm excited to see it, how it works.
Aisha, Jess, how y'all feeling about this new system, or just the trial run of the system?
Go ahead.
Aisha?
It doesn't work for the end zone, too? Because I'm tired of my quarterback breaking the plane and they just saying that ball ain't crossing.
You're sick.
So it all relies on the spot of the official. So and by the way, there are computer chips in the football, but the computer chips in the football, let's pretend my microphone is the football. So elongated, right? And so instead of the computer chip being in the tip of each side of the football, the chip is in the middle of the football behind the shield, that NFL logo. But here's the thing. You can't really use that chip in the ball for spotting where it happens on the field, because it's where the knee touches down, or is your elbow down, things like that. So it's even with this virtual measurement system, VMS, it's still reliant on where the official is spotting the ball. But once he spots it, instead of a chain gang running out there, it'll be literally like in a second. Because they'll calculate, those 6 camera angles with these 4K cameras, they'll know almost instantly, a second later, exactly where the ball is in relation to the first down marker.
Whatever helps the game be more efficient, I'm cool with, as long as it's actually helpful. Because, baby,
we got to save that 40 seconds so we can stick another commercial in.
Yeah, we've been screaming for the measurements. I feel like every season there's a game where you're screaming at, like, what was that spot? What was that?
I just think if it's not broke, you don't need to fix it.
Oh.
I just truly, like, if it's not on the edge of, like Christy's saying, if it's only in the middle of the ball, I feel like to truly get a good indicator, wouldn't that be a flaw in the system? Like, so what I'm saying,
the chip in the ball isn't being used for this.
Yeah, if it's at the nose of the ball, I would be cool with it. like that chip in the ball she's talking about.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
the chip in the ball is separate from VMS, but ultimately, it's still going to be.
I have issues with technology constantly. I would rather keep it old school. Like, there's
That's
some things
fair.
you don't need to change, and in my opinion, it's fine like it is. Don't touch it.
Yeah,
but
the
that's
suspense,
just me.
The suspense is going to be gone.
I am. Look, if you want to do both for good measurements, no pun intended, that's great. But I just feel like if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Don't Taylor got a song about less stress or something?
She has a song about everything.
Do not.
Oh,
That's
please
what
don't
we're
go
not
there.
doing, Aisha.
Don't go there.
We're not doing that.
Nah, don't get me started.
I'm just saying.
Ladies,
like,
Reputation Taylor's
I've
version
got to
is
ask y'all,
coming
ladies.
soon.
No.
I'll be insufferable. If you think I'm
ladies.
insufferable now, why do you think I'm wearing this? Like, it's insufferable. I'm
We
manifesting
can't
it.
see what you're wearing, Jess.
It's a big rep friendship bracelet that I got at the Eras tour.
it's cute.
Thanks.
It looked Halloween.
So wait, that's a song by Taylor
No.
Swift? Friendship?
No. Well, I'll give you the lore later.
Yes.
Hey, I don't listen to Taylor Swift. I don't know. Okay. All
catch
right.
you up
Well,
on the
ladies,
lore.
real fast. Who is someone that you all want to see take a big jump heading into the Raiders game? From preseason game 1 to preseason game 2. And I'll start with you, Aisha.
Ryan Flournoy. He's flashed in practice
okay.
this week. He flashed in practice last week and had a couple of bad drops in this past game. I think it's important for him to kind of bounce back, especially given what Jalen Moreno-Cropper has been able to do over the course of this last bit of camp, because that's what's going to be fresh on people's mind, right? So when the lights come on, I'm trying to see you ball out 18. You are a draft pick. I had expectations for him, so just looking for him to bounce back in this next game. What about you, Jess?
Yeah, that's a really good one because we did good at that one. When I talked to him in the locker room, he's a guy that asks questions, and we saw that during OTAs. Like, he wants to learn, he wants to be a sponge. He asks all the right things to the right people, so I like that one. I'm gonna go with the obvious one here because it needs to be said. And I wasn't here on Tuesday to talk about Trey Lance. Period. Like, here's my thing. I understand he hasn't played in almost a year, as Bonnie Jill pointed out in the last episode, but I'm not going to judge him based on what we saw in the first preseason game. I'm just not. I feel like what you're going to see from then to now will be who he is making an impression of as a player. And like you said in the last episode, Aisha, there's not a lot of time. So he needs to utilize his time in the best way. I don't want to see him panicking. I want to see his poker face. I want to see the Trey Lance poker face come back as a quarterback needs to do. I don't want to see defenders sniffing out that his first check down doesn't go as planned. His first read isn't there. His receiver's not running the route just yet, and he panics and throws. I don't want to see that. I want to see patience. I want to see a little bit more of the jitters out because I feel like ultimately it came down to that. So I'm hoping to see a more calm, relaxed version of Trey Lance, given I'm going to leave plenty of room for mistake because it is only the second preseason game that he's played. But overall, I want to see improvement, and truly, you need to see it.
Hey, I'm not going to lie. Today, just kind of piggybacking off Jess real fast, Trey Lance had a much better camp practice today. You saw that patience, especially in the red zone. He had a nice completion to Jalen Cropper to the left side of the end zone. So you're starting to see him just be a little bit more confident. I know that obviously it doesn't come overnight, but I think that as time goes on, you'll see a lot more confidence. I didn't mean to cut you off, Christy, real fast. My bad.
No, I agree. Trey Lance is number one on my list for all the reasons that Jess and Nicole mentioned, is that connecting with the receivers. Hey, that's great. You can operate the huddle and all that kind of stuff. I need you to accurately hit your receivers. And then the second one for me, we talked about Malik Davis, how his average wasn't high in the game on Sunday, but Mike McCarthy was talking about what a good camp that he has had overall. So I'm sorry I stole Malik Davis, but I'm going to go with Trey and Malik and what, Nicole?
What you got, Nicole?
I'm sorry, I stole it.
Just piggyback. There you go. Piggyback.
I was going to say Malik Davis.
Deuce.
Also, okay, you know what? Deuce had some nice runs today in practice, but I'm still going to go with Malik Davis. McCarthy did say today that it'll be kind of the same format as far as running backs, but it'll be like a more true evaluation with the rest of that running back room. Now that you have Royce Freeman, now that you have Deuce Vaughn back, so it'll be really interesting to see how how Snoop Connor, how Royce Freeman actually perform as well. But ladies, I'm sorry we kind of went over today. We've got we have to be the pregame for the pregame, so I'm sure it's fine. But great show today, ladies. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up, and we'll see you all Monday for Nicole Hutchison, Chrissy Scales, Jess Navarez in studio, and Aisha Morrison in studio as well. We are Girls Talk, Boys Talk, presented by Jigsaw, the preferred dating part of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll see y'all Monday.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!